Hello, it's Wednesday, September the 4th. We're taking a look at crypto. And last night was a new moon. Quite often, full moons and new moons can be turning points in the market. Certainly, it was a pretty nasty shakeout. Normally, the first day of the month or the first few trading days, we can see, a little bit of a bullish move, even in a downtrend. However, yesterday was a pretty nasty shakeout in quite a lot of markets. As you know, in stock, as I said yesterday, I think in stock indexes we may be in a little bit of a wave 4. But this now, for me, these closes underneath these daily moving averages, and it points to a bigger pullback and potentially this whole swing that we have seen from the 5th of August low, that nasty yen carry trade shakeout. I think potentially we could see another bigger swing lower here unless we recover these daily moving averages in quite a lot of these nasty stock index shakeouts. So we also had a little bit of a breakdown in crypto. Some of the altcoins that I've been looking at that had been outperforming or doing a little bit better had really nasty shakeouts as well. Stuff like BNB, which has been really outperforming, Pepe. Everything is having a little bit of a pullback, and this is very seasonal. At least the first 2/3 of September, so the first 10 days and the second 10 days are seasonally, for at least for stock indexes, pretty much the worst period of the year in terms of risk off. It's pretty nasty, and September is also Bitcoin's worst month of the year, so we need to kind of be prepared. One thing you can say about these shakeouts that we see in September, or have seen previously, is they've always led to really, really good trading and investing opportunities in September and October. So I think it's a really good strategy here to be ready. Don't throw away money in the chop, getting chopped up, and wait for this bigger pullback and a better opportunity. So when I look at Bitcoin big picture, again, I'm pretty, it doesn't look terribly good to me underneath these daily moving averages. What would look good and more better for a bottom would be a higher low here. And I think that this 55,000, potentially, when we look at the fib pattern that we're doing here, because we've reversed at this big 61.8 fib from the high to the low. So from the high back in March to the low on the 5th of August. What I am looking for is a higher low and a turn high here. 55,000 for me is the first kind of level that I'm looking at. However, for now, we do have a little bit of a bid from this previous swing low. So I'm going to take these old fibs off like this, hide them. For now, I'm going to go down a time frame to the 4 hour. And I'm going to look, perhaps, could we be done here? Could we have our correction over here? And I'm going to look at fib retraces. All of these moving averages holding underneath them are pretty bearish. And what I kind of don't like now so much when I look at this is this really from the low in August to the high that we made on the 25th of August, 10 days later. We are underneath this 50% level, 57,170. Quite often they're pivot levels, and we can see that this was high, low, high. A lot of structure here at this 55,170 level as well. This is spot Bitcoin, not CME futures. So I have to say, when I look at fibs and we go level to level to level, I think like a ladder, as long as we stay underneath 57,170, we are likely to continue lower here to 55,300. And because a lot of these other corrections have been 786 retraces, we could very easily come down, if we don't hold 55,000, we could very easily come down to 52,600. Remember, the rules with these fibs are like a step ladder, so here when we bounce from this 50%, we could not close and hold above this 38.2. So if we bounce from this 55,300, we can say that we're probably going up if we can close and hold above 57,170. So by that I mean we come down, we get above it, and we hold it as support, and that would mean, for me, a bigger reversal. Remember, when you reverse at a 61.8, your first target is this 38.2. In between these two is the golden ratio zone. Quite often you'll see a pattern like this. You'll look to see if it holds the middle, and we keep going. Sometimes, of course, though, you could do this and then you get back underneath, you know, and it's all done. So that's how these golden ratio zones work. And this 50% level, we can see if we look left, is likely to be quite an important pivot. 57,170. So for now, short term, I think that we are pointing lower, and the next support in Bitcoin is 55,300. Are we at one of those magical levels yet where we would want to buy and hold for a bigger hodl and a move later? Not quite. I really like to see an important bottoming pattern, or a big level, or a big moving average. And if we look at where we are here on the weekly, we may very likely on the weekly come back to retest this weekly 50 moving average, and that's all the way down 52,600. So that's where we are with Bitcoin, unless this bounce closes and holds above 57,170. I think that we have got more downside, and that 57,170 becomes more of a level that you can sell against today. And pretty much that's true for all of these altcoins. One thing I would say is ETH tends to be a little bit outperforming, but again, I'm going to take off all my squiggles here. If we look at where we are in ETH, and let's go out to the weekly, we're in a little bit of better position potentially with some support from this weekly 200 moving average. But again, in ETH, we have done this bounce from the 61.8. We've bounced, we've pulled back to the middle of this range, this level through the middle here, 2,400. It's a bit of a pivot, 50%. I think that this, unfortunately, unless we can recover and hold above 2,485, which would look like this, I'm afraid I think we're still going down, and 2,485 becomes a level that we sell against and for lower. And when we look at where lower, I think that we could quite likely see a retest of 2,100. So no sign of a bottom yet. If you don't use fibs, or you don't use moving averages, or you don't use anything else, if we take everything off, we can say, you know, a classic sign of a downtrend being over is when you take out this swing high. And so you can do it on different time frames. So if we were, for example, to bounce from here, get above this swing high, we would look for a higher low and then this breaking. This would be, you know, the first sign of a bigger bounce, and then we would look to these highs, and then if we can hold above them and so on. Quite often around these levels, though, it can get a little bit messy before you do that. But for now, still unfortunately in a downtrend, and I'm not sure it's over. The biggest turning point this week is going to be non-farm payrolls, I think, on Friday. And for now, I don't really... I'd like to see a change of trend with this new moon, but it's not showing in the charts yet. So that's kind of where we are. Unfortunately, when we take a look at some of the altcoins that I've been waiting for, Solana, which, as you know, Solana for me looks potentially like a, let's take everything off here, looks like a lovely big, I was hoping, bullish flag and a wave 4. So we count from the low in December, 1, 2, 3, 4, and wave 5s in crypto really extend. So I kind of like how this is setting up. It looks very similar to Bitcoin. I really like how these weekly moving averages are holding. A close underneath this weekly 50 moving average, let's take this away, would be a little bit more bearish, and these swing lows, and that means a weekly close. So that's not until next Sunday for this candlestick close. So I'm going to be watching out for that. That potentially would point to more downside. Let's tidy up my chart here. So this weekly 50 moving average, it's down here around 118, and this swing low from April. Now, am I going to be super bearish and we close underneath? No, potentially, you know, we could just stay in this channel, which, you know, for me still looks choppy, overlapping and corrective, and I'm not going to rule it out quite often, right? So if we think this is a big 1, 2, 3, and we're in a wave 4, the most common retrace of this would be back to this swing low of this previous wave 4. So from the low in June 2023, we've gone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if we break down in Solana underneath this weekly 50 moving average, which is also at this lovely support and resistance level, and everybody's going to be watching this. So if we get a nasty shakeout this month in Solana and we close underneath 116, for me 80 is going to be a real no-brainer. Now, would that be a much bigger correction than I would want to see? Yeah, but this was quite an extended wave 5, and we do know that this happens in September. If we put Fib retraces from this low to high, you can see we're sideways at a 50%. This just kind of brings us a little bit lower. 80, 88 maybe would be, if I do it this way, the 61.8 and this swing low. So we can say now that we would move this down a bit to the close and say, you know, we've got a pretty clear trade from 111 down to 88. And we're going to look and see if we can make a higher low and not close underneath 111. So Solana for now a little bit weak, and unfortunately all the meme coins and stuff on Solana is not looking is also having pretty nasty shakeout. I've got a request for WIF. Let's take a look at where we are with WIF, because we're a little bit sideways choppy range here in WIF. This is dog with hat. And when I look at this, now here's my fib rules, right? So from the all-time low back in February 2024 to the high here in April 2024, we can see that these fib levels have been really well respected in WIF, and we bounced from a 786 fib retrace. Let's make it a bit darker so we can see it. At 1.17, and we said that we would be going up. The fib rules say that we're going up, and we're going up to this 38.2 target up here if we can close and hold above this 61.8, and at the moment we aren't. So what in fact we're doing is just going sideways at this level. Unfortunately, I would say that the first sign that we're going to come up and challenge this 1.95 level again would be a close underneath the day above this daily 20 moving average. At the moment we're stuck underneath it. If we look at the 4 hour, we're stuck underneath our moving averages, and we are stuck underneath our moving averages on the hourly as well. So the first sign that we're going to be going up again and we'll challenge this 1.95 level is going to be back above this hourly 200 moving average. Now you can see we've got a little bit of a nice level here, just around this, exactly where this is. We're all bunched up. So 155 looks to me like pretty important resistance, and I probably wouldn't trade this first time because I don't like false breakouts, but if we could blast through this, then I would be looking at pullbacks against this level to buy in WIF. And then I think, yes, first target would be this 1.95, and because of the fib rule patterns on reversals, if we can close above 195, we would close above the daily 50 moving average, and then we could talk about we would go to the 50 next, which is at 2.5, but our target, really, we should be riding the waves to 3.06. So for now, unfortunately, we are just going sideways in WIF. Is it as nasty as some of the others? No, not at all. It's not nasty, it's just choppy and sideways. A close and hold above, if we start getting back some of these moving averages and holding above them, I think that we can see a move higher. And whilst we stay underneath, we risk one of those crypto nasty retests of the lows. So I'm only going to be giving up on looking at this one if it closes underneath 1.172 and we retest the lows of 5th of August. Pretty much everything made a big important low on the 5th of August, and we're just about to find out if we're going to retest them or not. And so that's really kind of how I'm seeing WIF at the moment. In other markets that I've been kind of watching, they are like Rune. I was watching really nasty shakeout, and some of these FET is a good example of where we are and where potentially we could see. FET is one that I've been watching. It's an AI. Now if we look at FET from the lows we made in 2022 to the highs here in March, we have retraced all the way to the 786 fib, and we can look at these other fib retrace levels, and they were pretty important support and resistance, so we're going to rely on them. And so we've seen a bounce from the 786 that couldn't get above the 61.8, so we're not going up. We banged our head on that next level of the ladder. What would be bullish here is a higher low and a turn higher to re-challenge that 61.8 level, just like we talked about in WIF. So if we go down to a 4 hour here, I've drawn this line in, but we need to take it out really. What we want to see is a 3-wave correction and a higher low on the 4 hour. That would mean perhaps back to the 200 moving average, maybe a fib retrace of this swing. Not quite there yet. Again, not quite there yet in the hourly either. We seem to be working our way through the levels, but here we are a little bit sideways at this 50% level. Are we going to hold it, or are we going to continue lower? 1.088. If we break underneath it, our next level lower is going to be 0.99. We might just do a 3-wave correction here. We might still do another swing lower, and again, level to level to level. So I'm waiting to see if it rolls over. Is it a sell here? No, I think it's more likely to bounce before we break down. Looking at where we are in momentum, and for me, I use a CCI. I like to see it, be crossing back through. That's my trigger when we cross through that center line, and vice versa. So sideways, unfortunately, in FET, there is a potential that we don't continue lower, but I haven't seen a sign of the reversal that I want to see yet. Okay, if there's a coin that you'd like me to look at, let me know. I need to get back to doing lives and then live requests, and I will soon, don't worry. Thanks for watching.